Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan. It was in 2019 that the centre removed 312 Sikh foreign nationals from the 35-year-old blacklist. Later, a 50-member delegation of Sikhs from across the United States met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Houston and thanked him for removing the names of over 300 community members from the blacklist. He's a great friend of the Sikh community. This is how Indiana-based Gurinder Singh Khalsa, a part of the 50-member Sikh delegation, had referred to Prime Minister for the path-breaking decision. The founder of Dal Khalsa and former Pro-Khalistan leader Jaswant Singh Thekadar last year in March lauded the work undertaken and accomplished by Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the country's Sikh community, saying that he admires the community and has done a lot for its people. Thekadar said Prime Minister Modi has done a lot for Sikhs and Sikhism. He said that it was PM Modi who ended the blacklists, opened up the Kartarpur corridor and talked about Chote Sahibzadas and the sons of Guru Gobind Singh. Whether it is about the celebration of holy occasions such as Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji's 550th Prakash Parv or Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji's 350th birth anniversary. Whether it is about justice for victims of the 1984 massacre or pogrom against Sikhs, or about the construction of the Kartarpur Sahib corridor, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken personal interest and led the way in working for the Sikh community. Even on his recent visit to the United States, PM Narendra Modi met several members of the Sikh community in New York who thanked him for the work done by his government for the Sikh community. As PM's bond with the community grows and Bharat takes a stronger role at the global high table, the West continues to lend support to anti-Bharat elements to derail the Sabka Saath effort and pitch. Canada has offered a platform to Khalistani vandals, a wanted designated terrorist by Bharat. His outfit, designated a terrorist outfit, has been platformed by the state broadcaster under Justin Trudeau's government. These people have gone against the very tenets of Sikhism and stabbed a friend, Bharat. Since last September, Canada has been making ludicrous, unsubstantiated and preposterous claims on Bharat's involvement on a designated terrorist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar's killing. On Monday again, Canada repeated the allegations claiming that Bharat's diplomats were involved in choreographing the assassination. On Wednesday again, Trudeau literally made a fool of himself, admitting that Canada had no hard evidentiary proof to support the allegations linking Bharat's agents to the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in June last year. In fact, the MEA has only underlined the fact that since September 2023, not a shred of evidence has been provided by the Canadians. And Justin Trudeau referred to the September 23 evidence only as intel, not evidentiary proof. Bharat has been unsparing in its response, condemning Trudeau and his politics of appeasing K-goons. While testifying in front of Canada's Foreign Interference Inquiry, Trudeau claimed Bharat undermined the integrity of Canada's democracy. Does Trudeau have answers on his hypocrisy in allowing separatists to promote violent extremism on Canadian soil? Does Trudeau have answers to why a Khalistani terrorist like Gurpatwant Pannoon, who has threatened to blow up Air India flight in November 2023, spews venom against Bharat and its Prime Minister and also against a sitting MP in Canada? He is also threatening Indo-Canadians, threatened to storm the IGI airport during G20, threatens Bharat's diplomats and spreads hate against Hindus in Canada, gets an open platform to spew anti-Bharat rhetoric. The state broadcaster platform this person. Look at his picture just from about 6-8 months ago. He's neither wearing a turban nor does he have even any of the 5 Ks that are the basic tenets of Sikhism. He's now growing a beard, trying to sport a turban, trying to portray himself as a Sikh. These are the kind of charades and elements whom Justin Trudeau is championing, who downright insult Sikhi. They claim themselves to be standing up for Sikhs for justice, but he himself derides Sikhi. To drive his domestic political agenda, has Trudeau shared stage with those who celebrate Indira Gandhi, our former Prime Minister, her assassination. But he doesn't care to condemn the attacks on the Indian consulate and threats issued to Indian diplomats. Canada has allowed Bharat's foes, China and Pakistan, to play their games there. Justin Trudeau has nothing to say on the murder of Ripudaman Malik. He has no response on how Karima Baloch was found dead on Canadian soil. Here on The Right Stand, we reported how Khalistani extremists have developed deep roots in Canada with an ISI imprint. Trudeau's liberal ship also is sinking, His popularity, his approval ratings are perhaps at their lowest. Within his own party, there are many who want him out. His growing unpopularity pushing him to pander to Khalistani elements, even he faces strong pushback by Sikhs and other Indo-Canadians within his own party. Testifying in front of the public inquiry into foreign interference and federal electoral processes and democratic institutions in Ottawa, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau admitted on Wednesday that when he made the allegation of Indian officials' involvement in the murder of Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, all he had was intelligence, not concrete evidence. Trudeau is clearly saying that some MPs have told him about Bharat's involvement and he should name them so that we can also reply back with their credentials, top government sources told CNN News 18. Canadian Parliament is full of Khalistan sympathizers and they have taken Trudeau for a right royal ride. That's what intel sources opine, sources within government of Bharat opine. How can a Prime Minister, on the basis of only intelligence given by some individuals and some name-calling and claims being made, blame a country for killing and drive such a deep wedge in diplomatic equations between two great democracies? Has Trudeau's stunning admission exposed him once again? How could Trudeau make such a ludicrous claim based on a hunch? Was Trudeau forced by K groups to name Bharat without proof? Did Trudeau name Bharat to incentivize his Khalistani vote bank? Does the Five Eyes endorse Trudeau's actions based on a hunch? Trudeau's self-goal has once again made him look like a fool on the world stage, and Bharat once again, especially after the deposition on Wednesday, stands vindicated.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
We chose to continue to work behind the scenes to try and get India to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging. It's, oh, no, tell us what you know. Show us the evidence. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof. So we said, well, let's work together and look into your security services and maybe we can get that done. No, we're not doing that.
At that point, it wasn't hard evidentiary proof. It was just intelligence. And it still remains the same. That's what is Bharat's position. Questions have been raised by sources in Indian authorities as to whether the Canadian Prime Minister wanted to capitalize on the killing of Nijjar ahead of the elections. Why was Hardeep Nijjar not given security despite several meetings with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service? If he indeed had a threat to his life, who were these elements? Sources have said that Trudeau named India without any confirmation. Serious questions have been raised on the security of Nijjar. Sources said that he was in regular touch with the CSIS. Why is it that he was advised not to step out of public but was never given enough security to protect him? According to sources, the statement of Nijjar's son Balraj is crucial to support Bharat's claim that Pakistan's ISI could be involved. They could have a role in Nijjar's killing because Ripudaman Malik was shot dead not so long ago, and these are two warring factions, ladies and gentlemen, and it happened in Canada. Karima Baloch was also shot dead, but they dismissed it as an accident. She was also done away with. She was found dead. Balraj claimed he met senior CSIS officials just 6 days before Nijjar's killing, and another meeting was scheduled 2 days after his killing. Indian intelligence agencies have also raised serious questions on why Nijjar was only advised and not protected. Sources said that if the Canadian intelligence agencies had inputs against Indian agents, why was protection not given to Nijjar? Sources have also said that in some way Canadian authorities may have supported the ISI and gave access to the killers and have gone slow thereafter with the investigation. So far, those who have been accused or charged with the killing of Hardeep Nijjar, are behind bars without trial. It's the prosecution that has sought 4 adjournments. Out of the 5 adjournments so far, 4 have been sought by the prosecution. They have not got proof. They have not submitted it yet. They're still going through reams and reams of pages, they claim, in court. Security Affairs Editor Manoj Gupta has brought us exclusive input shared by intelligence sources claiming that Canadian PM Justin Trudeau started the Khalistan narrative well in time for the elections next year. And Hardeep Nijjar's profile was ideal to keep this entire pot boiling. Nijjar gunned down on the premises of a Gurdwara in Canada's Surrey last year, was a top Khalistan Tiger Force commando and key to Prime Minister Trudeau's campaign to sustain his Sikh support in his home country. That's what they believe. They believe that all Sikhs in Canada endorse this entire K narrative. They are the ones who are broad brushing all Sikhs as Khalistani or secessionists. Sad but true, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Bharat. Bharat very clearly believes Canada and Bharat have phenomenal relationships. It's a very deep relationship. Randeep Jaiswal had spoken about it in detail. But yes, they have a problem with Justin Trudeau and his government and his leadership and his thought process, and also who he is leaning on, the NDP and Jagmeet Singh. Trudeau started the Khalistan narrative in time for the elections. Nijjar's profile is ideal to keep the pot boiling, another proof that he is playing with pro-Khalistan elements and also the involvement of the Pakistan-based ISI or the Inter-Services Intelligence. Intel sources said there are several cases against Nijjar in various terror activities and his extradition was sought many times, not only recently but even in the past. A lookout circular was issued against him in 2015, followed by a red corner notice in 2016. Thrice he's been refused entry into Canada. He even forged his identity to find a way in, and then thereafter he was facilitated by Pro-K-Sympathisers within the Canadian administration. More than 10 FIRs pending against him in Punjab, those registered by the NIA. The NIA has highlighted Nijjar's anti-Bharat activities in Canada. NIA is suspected to be behind the killing, and Nijjar is suspected to be behind the killing of Ripudaman Singh Malik in Surrey. Raymond Vickery, Senior Associate Wadhwani Chair in the US-India Policy Studies CSIS is with us. Terry Mileshki, author, is with us. Daniel Bodman, Canadian journalist, and Ramneek Singh Mann, activist, with us. My namaste to everybody. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Terry Mileshki, I have a copy of your report that your think tank, the think tank that you lead, had published in 2020, September 2020, if I remember. I want to start with the foreword. The foreword that's been penned by Ujjal Dosanjh and Shuval Moy. They start with the way the definition of Khalistani extremism was changed in 2018. Do you believe that this is systematic? The way the Canadian administration today is pandering to these K extremists. Terry, thank you for your time.
Thank you for the invitation. I would confirm absolutely that not just the Liberals, but especially the Liberals, but the Conservatives and the New Democratic Party in Canada are guilty. We have all been, in the last 40 years, pandering to, tolerating, and the Khalistani aggressions and threats of violence and actual violence, and that this is a disgrace to Canada, and that now the chickens are coming home to roost. Even if Trudeau's allegations, the government's allegations, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police's allegations, by the way, they're not a political organization. They don't follow political orders, the RCMP. They have a better reputation than that. But even if these allegations were true, that Canada just simply, after this sad record of history of looking the other way, smiling and waving at Vaisakhi parade to honor great martyrs, supposedly, like the Air India bomber, as though he's some kind of hero, that after all of that history, who's going to believe Canada on this file? The Canadian establishment, the political parties, tilted shamefully in favor of the Khalistan agenda and have been fooled into thinking they're the Sikhs. Whereas the vast majority of Sikhs in the world want nothing to do with this separatist and really don't want to have anything to do with the Khalistanis themselves. So we have now got a situation where India has been extremely angry. It has been saying, okay, if you won't do something about the Khalistani provocations, we will. And now Canada is shocked to see that, as its police report, that the Indians appear to have been playing rough. Put it no more strongly than that for the moment. Then along comes the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. You have described it. We don't have a solution, but we do have 4 young gangsters in prison awaiting trial. In addition, and this is important, we also had an alleged handler, Nikhil Gupta, in custody in the United States, facing trial in New York on the FBI's indictment, alleging that he was the handler who was supposed to hire a hitman, and did indeed hire a hitman to dispose of the head of Secret Justice, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, New York, as well as, this is one plot, any target, as well as Hardeep Nijjar in Canada. In other words, the FBI uncovered a wide range organized by an employee of the Indian government. And they have facts, they have got receipts, they have got wiretaps, they have got recordings. They recorded the alleged perpetrator here, Nikhil Gupta, who recorded him saying to the hitman he had hired, who was actually an undercover cop. They recorded him saying, yes, we're after Panoon, and Nijjar is also a target. So, India has a problem as well. I've described Canada's problem as basically being sucked in to Khalistani propaganda in pursuit of.
But the reality,
I think India also has a problem.
Whether India has a problem or not, India has said that we will act if you are giving me credible evidence. That's why there's a team that's traveled to New York to discuss and engage with the US State Department and the authorities there based on the evidence provided. But in the case of Hardeep Nijjar, these 4 people who've been arrested along with, so far there has been no proceedings in court. It's the prosecution which has actually sought 4 adjournments out of 5. Why is it? If they have reams and reams of paper and evidence, they should be moving fast to try and secure.
Because they're trying to cut a deal. They're trying to cut a deal. They're trying to cut a deal to get a lighter sentence in return for coughing up who paid them. That's what we really want to know. We don't want to know about the shooting. We want to know who paid them. Who was behind them.
But how come there is no curiosity to understand who killed Ripudaman Malik, who killed Karima Baloch, and all that has been just brushed under the carpet and forgotten altogether? And this is a person of interest for another nation, someone who's been refused entry into Canada because of his checkered past and his credentials, dodgy credentials into Canada, who is being mourned at the House of Commons. Daniel Bodman, and then I'll go across to Raymond Vickery. Yes, Daniel.
Listen, I understand this point, and listen, Terry makes a good point of there's 2 conversations that the different countries are having. There is did they or did they not conversation, and that's kind of what we're talking about in the hearing, especially in Canada. Then there's the other conversation, which is the underlying issue here, which we're all talking about here in India because we get it here, is should they or should they not, right? Is Nijjar a legitimate target? Is this like taking out Hassan Nasrallah? Or not, right? So these 2 things are sort of conflicting. Now, I understand this argument of why not Karima Baloch? Why not this? Why are we dying on the hill of Hardeep Singh Nijjar? And this is personal to me because I have a friend who was likely murdered by a hostile foreign nation. His name was Mehdi Amin. He was an Iranian political activist, a great patriotic Canadian who came here. His order of values was key in the Iranian diaspora fighting the regime. And he was even killed, and we have a court ruling that it was highly suspicious circumstances. Cameras turned off. The assailant, even the judge said there's something extra going on here. Nothing from the Canadian government, nothing on that. So I understand better than most the extreme hypocrisy and just the gaslighting of why do we have to die on the hill of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a man whose Gurdwara right now is planning an event to honor the worst terrorist in our history, Tawinder Parmar. It's sickening. And it's, again, goes back to the did they or did they not versus should they and should they have not. And these conversations are linked, but you have to understand the second half of that, the should they not, was this guy a terrorist, was he not? This is completely taken out of mainstream Canadian discourse, right? You'll never see that ever talked about on the CBC. All of the Sikh representatives on the CBC would be from the World Sikh Organization or something equivalent. The mainstream Sikh voice in Canada of normal, well-adjusted Sikhs is completely sidelined. And you're right to assume there is a problem that Justin Trudeau has where he does think that all Sikhs are Khalistani terrorists. He thinks all Muslims are Islamic extremists. He just has a worldview where that's not that bad of a thing, and their extremism and terrorism is caused by us here in the West being too conservative, being too Stephen Harper-ish or George Bush or whatever, and he has this sort of Obama mentality that he himself can supposedly hug the terrorism away. And this worldview doesn't meet reality. I mean, the most famous thing in Canada is he was pushing for a UN Security Council seat years ago. It was this big push of his, and to try and win it, he was trying to appeal to the Arab nations by being incredibly anti-Semitic and doing the anti-Israel stuff. But he was going to like the UAE at the time, which was trying to sort of moderate relations with Israel, as you saw. And by bragging about how, anti-Israel and how they, are kind of weak on Hamas and all this and the Iranians, they were alienating the UAE because the UAE is incredibly anti-Muslim Brotherhood, which is the Hamas, and they're incredibly anti the Islamic Republic of Iran, who they see as their number one enemy. So he misread that whole situation, just thinking, oh, look, they're Arabs, they're dressed up in silly costumes, they must hate Jews. So he went on this sort of appeal to them, and it didn't work, and it ended up being a massive flub where he didn't understand really the foreign politics of any other country in the United Nations and wasn't able to get the Security Council seat. And a lot of it had to do with this worldview where he would see as, yes, all Muslims are terrorists, but that's a good thing. And when you go to, good leaders in the Arab world, they have problems with these extremists, so they don't want a Canadian government that's propping them up. So, and you see this mentality played out again here in this issue.
Exactly. Now, did he not read the message when he came to Bharat and Captain Amrinder Singh refused to meet Khalistani elements who were part of his entourage? He took up firm stand, and he had massive support on ground. The then Chief Minister of the state of Punjab in India. How is it that Justin Trudeau can't see this writing on the wall? Or he's so dependent on them to just survive and to stick around for the next few months that he just has to do his bidding. Raymond Vickery, thank you for your patience, sir. What is the Five Eyes position here? Because it's the Americans who've given this intelligence. That's what he claimed in the House of Commons. But the Americans so far have not outrightly underlined the way Trudeau's gone about things. They've just said that if Trudeau is making a claim, you must look into it.
Well, thanks very much for having me. I think it's perfectly apparent that we have a problem here. Democracies have historically had difficulty in coming to grips with how to control and direct the secret activities of various security agencies. And we have not actually been able to come together on that with these two great democracies, India and the United States. I think we've done a better job in the U.S. The plot in New York, I think has been handled correctly, in that there has been a delineation of the exact evidence involved, and there have been consultations between the national security advisors, and you saw the announcement on Wednesday concerning the satisfaction of the United States in terms of cooperation between the security agencies in meeting this problem. It is, I think, absolutely true that Prime Minister Trudeau has not handled this correctly and has inflamed the situation. But that should not obscure the need for democracies to come together to figure out how to handle these aberrational kinds of situations. It's just not going to be the case that partners such as U.S. and India and others in the Five Eyes can just operate at will in terms of how you meet the very real problems such as Sikh separatism. So this is a real difficulty. I think the United States has shown the way in terms of how to cooperate with India to be able to come up with amelioration and even solution of the kinds of problems. What's happened in Canada has not been the way to go. But that doesn't mean there isn't a problem. Prime Minister Trudeau is going to pass from the scene, it seems, in one way or another. But we're still going to need to work, and it's useless just to say, well, the Five Eyes did this to India, and India is all correct. Or on the other hand, for in the United States or any other democracy to say, well, we're just going to write this off. As I say, I think we're making progress in the U.S., India, and I think that'll spill over with the Canadian situation and the others. But we've had a problem here. We've faced it in the U.S.,
right,
and hopefully we'll be able to do so in the future here.
But the fact is that Bharat has drawn a line with respect to pandering to these kind of separatist elements. The issue that I also would like to bring out here, Ramneek Man, is that America has also not cooperated with respect to Gurpatwant Pannun. They still allow him a free run. He can't claim the first when he's talking about another country. He can claim the first when he talks about America. But he can't claim the first and the freedom to say what he wants to say when he's actually talking about secession and breaking and acting against entities which are foreign nationals. And he's doing this on foreign soil against another foreign nation.
Well, 2-3 things very quickly, Anand. I believe that both Canada and the US expected India to be on the back foot when they started blaming India for neutralizing their own asset. Let's be very clear. Let's talk about credible allegations, shall we? So the credible allegation here is the CSIS and the ISI are involved in neutralizing Hardeep Nijjar. So that is where it is. They are the ones who killed Nijjar, and they are blaming it on India, and they expected India to be on the back foot. And it was a miscalculation, and it's backfired badly, and chicken is coming home to roost now. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Anand, that Canadian reputation and that of the Prime Minister of Canada is in tatters. It is at its lowest ever globally, if we talk about. And also, if you actually explained it beautifully, Anand, when you started your program, by expressing what the current Prime Minister has done for Sikhs, starting from 550th year of Guru Nanak Sahib to 350 years of Guru Gobind Sahib and to 400 years of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, and then Kartarpur Sahib corridor, Hemkund Sahib ropeway, and then translating Guru Nanak Sahib's Bani into 16 global languages, and then celebrating the Sahibzadas, and punishing the perpetrators of crimes against Sikhs in 1984, something these Khalistanis have been ranting about, and they have been harping upon all these years. So the entire agenda seemed to be slipping out of the hands of the Khalistanis. So what do? So they neutralize our own asset, and then they try and blame it on India. What had happened in the past is something they're trying to do again. It was Hindus can't live with Muslims, a two-nation theory which gave birth to Pakistan is Hindus can't live with Sikhs, or Sikhs can't live with Hindus anymore, should give a birth to Khalistan, and that Khalistan should only be on the Indian side of Punjab and not where the Khalsa Raj actually was, the throne of the Sikh kingdom in Lahore in Pakistan, the birthplace of Guru Nanak Sahib, or the resting place of Guru Nanak Sahib, Nankana Sahib, Kartarpur Sahib. These all places have been omitted. So it is purely a political agenda. Let's be very clear on that one. True. Now, you pointedly asked, Anand, where the Pannu's agenda was. But the Pannu's agenda is very clear. Pannu's agenda is a divided India. He's come out openly and said, we want to balkanize India. We want India to be in pieces. He's not limiting himself to Khalistan and territories that he claims should be a part of the Sikh homeland. He also wants Maharashtra to be independent. He wants Kerala to be independent. He wants an independent Bengal also. So this is somebody who has been anti-India, anti-national, and he's not an Indian. He's a US citizen.
Exactly.
And what is he saying about their citizen? That is interesting. Now, I should also tell you this, that Americans, Americans are operating in Canadian soil. Iranians are operating on Canadian soil. Allegedly, Indians are operating on Canadian soil. Pakistanis have killed Karima Baloch. There is no doubt about it. Chinese are interfering in their elections. I mean, is Canada really a state?
No, Israel has now openly alleged that Canada is giving patronage and open, shelter to members of the Hamas and the Hezbollah and the Houthis.
Oh, absolutely.
And the Canadians are operating there.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Have you not seen those protests? Have you not seen those pro-Palestinian protests in the streets of Canada? I mean, is it really serious? Is Canada a state actually?
Sri Lanka has alleged that LTT members, former members who are terrorists of the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, they are also operating out of Canada and they are plotting something against Sri Lanka again. So it's not just one nation.
Again, you know what Canada chooses to do, Anand? You know what Canada chooses to do? Their Prime Minister on the floor of the Parliament addresses Nijjar as an honorable citizen, forgetting that he has 10 FIRs against him in India. He's accused in murder. He's a wanted, designated terrorist of India, and he's an honorable citizen. That is just one. The other is that, Canada is a joke. I'm sorry, Terry, it's your country. I'm sorry, the other people who are listening to me. Canada has not been able to live up to its expectations, to the expectations of its citizens, to its obligation towards the global community. Sir, diplomacy is based on mutual reciprocity. The way you are permitting your citizens, Canadian citizens, to put up a portrait of the Indian High Commissioner, fire bullets at him, bringing the life and liberty of Indian diplomats in danger. That too, in a developed Western country,
can I comment on that?
In the American continent.
Terry,
are you serious?
Just a brief comment. It is absolutely correct, in my view, that Canada's role in looking the other way about Khalistani violence decades now has been an absolute disgrace. I just want to make one other point. That is that we just remember, before we trash Trudeau and the Canadians, let's remember that while India is calling Trudeau's allegations absurd, it has also apparently arrested the Indian government official who was accused by the Americans of having organized a murder plot inside both the United States and Canada on Canadian and American soil. So either India thinks that allegation is absurd and reckless, as it says, or they have arrested Vikram Yadav, who is named as the official who organized the alleged murder plot. They've arrested him for what?
So, Terry, here's the point.
That hasn't been denied.
No, here's the point. India's position has been very clear. We have not sanctioned, there is no official state sanction for any of these acts. And if you have credible proof against anybody, please provide and we will act. With this arrest, what has happened is Bharat has walked the talk. Bharat has arrested the person against whom there has been some amount of credible proof. But what has Justin Trudeau done? He is accusing the very ambassador and a very, very senior gentleman who served in multiple nations in the past, who's come there. He's talked tough on K-extremism. He has talked tough with the Canadian administration on K-extremism and pandering to these K-extremists because it had a direct ramification of what was happening on Indian soil. There is evidence after evidence that's been provided to the Canadian authorities that money from Canada, arms from Canada, drugs from Canada were being pushed into Punjab in India with the attempt to balkanize Punjab, with the attempt to radicalize Punjab and throw it into a quagmire of drugs, violence and anarchy. And this was being plotted on Canadian soil. This is what Terry, and with due respect, there is nothing against any of the Canadian citizens of the Canadian government. This is what was provided by Sanjay Kumar Verma to the Canadian authorities from day one, sir. And the Canadian authorities did nothing about it, sir. They did nothing about it.
And the accusations that get made against Sanjay Verma as the Indian High Commissioner in Canada sound to me extremely far-fetched. He is a respectable man, and I know of no evidence.
That's where the problem is, sir. That's where the problem is.
We can agree, I think, that the Canadians have much to answer for, and that the handling of this by Trudeau and by his officials leaves much to be desired.
Sir,
but then can be said, I'm afraid, of the Indian side. We can't just close our eyes to that, because if we want to have a solution, and have
No,
these
nobody
two
is
great-
closing eyes to anything, sir. The
No,
issue
but
is
no.
not between India and Canada. The issue is Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh. And the Canadians have to vote these people out. The Liberal Party has to take a very strong position that do they really want to drive such a deep wedge between in the relationship of two
think the
nations
Conservatives
because
are innocent?
their Prime Minister is ill-informed on many issues and has jumped the gun. That's their current Prime Minister.
Are there no conservative Khalistanis? I think there are a few in the Conservative Party.
Right.
Don't blame this all on liberals, is all I'm saying.
No,
all
I'm not
the
blaming it
parties-
on liberals. Right now, the liberals are in power. They've got to take the right stand. That's what I'm trying to say.
Fair enough.
On that note,
Fair
I've got to
enough.
on that note, I've got to wind up. I've run out of time.
Anand.
We'll stay on this story and we'll continue tracking this all through this week here on The Right Stand, ladies and gentlemen. Taking a very short break. When we come back, it's the face-off closer home, where there are some opposition MPs who want Bharat to fix ties with Canada for all that Justin Trudeau has done. He is sharing a platform with those who assassinated a former Prime Minister of our country. Who needs to fix things? Should Bharat actually bow down to K-Sympathisers? Stay with us.
Well, as the India-Canada ties continue to take a serious hit, Charanjit Singh Channi of the Congress has now made a statement and said, and I'm going to quote him here, that India and Canada enjoy very good relations. People from Punjab are living in Canada in a very large number. We enjoy good people-to-people ties also, so we should not spoil the relationship with Canada. Our government should take steps to improve the bilateral ties. Agencies are involved in the rise of gangsters. In fact, he has touched upon the murder of Sidhu Moosewala and has went on to say that the murder of Sidhu Moosewala was completely political. We'll bring you more details with regards to the word and suggestion coming in from Indian National Congress and former Chief Minister of the state, Charanjit Singh Channi. But at this point of time, he has made some serious statements. He has said that India and Canada do enjoy very good relations and a large number of people, the Indian community, do reside in Canada, specifically from Punjab. So we should go on and solve the issue at first because we enjoy good people-to-people ties with Canada. We should not spoil the relationship going on with the Canada. Our government should also take steps to improve the bilateral ties between the two nations. In fact, he has said that agencies are involved in the rise of gangsters and the murder of Sidhu Moosewala is completely political. Let's listen into what exactly, Congress's member Charanjit Singh Channi.
ਸਾਡਾ 9 ਮਾਸ ਦਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਸਾਡਾ ਹਰ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਚੌਥਾ ਘਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਕੁੜੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੈਠਾ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈ, ਸਾਡਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈ ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਖਰਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ। ਸਾਡੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਧਾਰੇ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਰੋਜ਼ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਚ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੈ।
ਇੱਕ ਗੈਂਗਸਟਰ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ?
ਗੈਂਗਸਟਰ ਫਿਰ ਪੈਦਾ ਕੌਣ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ? ਇਹ ਨਾ ਪੈਦਾ ਕਰਨ। ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਬਿੱਲੀ ਥੈਲੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਏਜੰਸੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਇਨਵੋਲਵਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ। ਇੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੂਸੇਵਾਲ ਦਾ ਕਤਲ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜੇ ਦਿਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਹੋਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਮਝ ਆ।
CNN News 18 senior editor Pallavi Ghosh is joining us on the phone line. Pallavi, a very good morning to you. This is a very serious statement that Charanjit Singh Channi has made. First of all, he has also said that, Sidhu Moosewala's murder was extremely political and you will get to know about it later in the days to come, of course. And he has spoken about how maximum number of Punjabi people are residing there in Canada. So Indian government should solve the issue at first.
Well, he's of course speaking from his constituency of Punjab. I mean, he's of course a member of parliament from there, and he's been chief minister of the state. See, not just lots of Sikhs who are settled in Canada, likewise a lot of money comes into Punjab by way of, earnings of Indians who have settled down in Canada. If you go through Punjab, you will notice actually almost every third to fourth house has one person who's an NRI settled in Canada. So the contribution of the earnings of the state also comes in from a large number of Sikhs settled in Canada, and that is the reason why he's voicing this concern that if India-Canada relations and trade ties and employment gets further derailed, is going to start hurting the people of Punjab, and especially those young people who may have settled in Canada to make their earning. And that's the stand which he has taken, very much in sync with that of the Congress party largely, but this is precisely the point which is likely to stoke a lot of controversy. India has taken a tough stand against Canada, saying that they are needlessly blaming India and also meddling in our internal affairs. When a member of parliament stands up and says that we need to improve relationships with Canada, it of course throws up a lot of contradictions. It also throws up a lot of controversy, where the BJP is certainly going to ask this question, is that where are your loyalties lying? Is it with India or is it with Canada?
And since you have spoken about contradiction, Pallavi, please stay on with us. We have another statement coming in, this time around from Jairam Ramesh of Congress. He has also made a statement. He posted on his social media profile X, and I'm going to quote a couple of lines from that tweet here, that the Indian National Congress has already asked the Prime Minister to take the leaders of opposition in both the Houses of Parliament and other political leaders into confidence on the serious charges levelled against the government of India by the USA and Canada. Allegations made by Canada are tarnishing India's global reputation and damaging brand.
Putting Bharat's interests first, always. Incisive and unbiased news stories every single day.
Razor sharp and factual news stories from beginning to end.
Your favorite news shows at brand new times. Brought to you by...
Well, as the India-Canada ties continue to take a serious hit, Charanjit Singh Channi of the Congress has now made a statement and said, and I'm going to quote him here, that India and Canada enjoy very good relations. People from Punjab are living in Canada in a very large number. We enjoy good people-to-people ties also, so we should not spoil the relationship with Canada. Our government should take steps to improve the bilateral ties. Agencies are involved in the rise of gangsters. In fact, he has touched upon the murder of Sidhu Moosewala and has went on to say that the murder of Sidhu Moosewala was completely political. We'll bring you more details with regards to the word and suggestion coming in from Indian National Congress and former Chief Minister of the state, Charanjit Singh Channi. But at this point of time, he has made some serious statements. He has said that India and Canada do enjoy very good relations, and a large number of people, the Indian community, do reside in Canada, specifically from Punjab. So we should go on and solve the issue at first, because we enjoy good people-to-people ties with Canada. We should not spoil the relationship going on with the Canada. Our government should also take steps to improve the bilateral ties between the two nations. In fact, he has said that agencies are involved in the rise of gangsters, and the murder of Sidhu Moosewala is completely political. Let's listen into what exactly, Congress's member Charanjit Singh
ਸਾਡਾ 9 ਮਾਸ ਦਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਸਾਡਾ ਹਰ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਚੌਥਾ ਘਰ, ਸਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਕੁੜੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੈਠਾ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈ, ਸਾਡਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈ ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਖਰਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ। ਸਾਡੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਧਾਰੇ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਰੋਜ਼ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਚ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੈ।
ਇੱਕ ਗੈਂਗਸਟਰ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ?
ਗੈਂਗਸਟਰ ਫਿਰ ਪੈਦਾ ਕੌਣ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ? ਇਹ ਨਾ ਪੈਦਾ ਕਰਨ। ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਬਿੱਲੀ ਥੈਲੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਏਜੰਸੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਇਨਵੋਲਵਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ। ਇੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੂਸੇਵਾਲ ਦਾ ਕਤਲ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜੇ ਦਿਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਹੋਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਮਝ ਆ।
CNN News 18 senior editor Pallavi Ghosh is joining us on the phone line. Pallavi, a very good morning to you. This is a very serious statement that Charanjit Singh Channi has made. First of all, he has also said that, Sidhu Moosewala's murder was extremely political, and you will get to know about it later in the days to come, of course. And he has spoken about how maximum number of Punjabi people are residing there in Canada. So Indian government should solve the issue at first.
Well, he's of course speaking from his constituency of Punjab. He's of course a member of parliament from there, and he's been chief minister of the state. See, not just lots of Sikhs who are settled in Canada, likewise a lot of money comes into Punjab by way of, earnings of Indians who have settled down in Canada. If you go through Punjab, you will notice actually almost every third to fourth house has one person who's an NRI settled in Canada. So the contribution of the earnings of the state also comes in from a large number of Sikhs settled in Canada, and that is the reason why he's voicing this concern that if India-Canada relations and trade ties and employment gets further derailed, it's going to start hurting the people of Punjab, and especially those young people who may have settled in Canada to make their earning. And that's the stand which he has taken, very much in sync with that of the Congress party largely, but this is precisely the point which is likely to stoke a lot of controversy. India has taken a tough stand against Canada, saying that they are needlessly blaming India and also meddling in our internal affairs. When a member of parliament stands up and says that we need to improve relationships with Canada, it of course throws up a lot of contradictions. It also throws up a lot of controversy, where the BJP is certainly going to ask this question, is that where are your loyalties lying? Is it with India or is it with Canada?
And since you have spoken about contradiction, Pallavi, please stay on with us. We have another statement coming in, this time around from Jairam Ramesh of Congress. He has also made a statement. He posted on his social media profile X, and I'm going to quote a couple of lines from that tweet here, that the Indian National Congress has already asked the Prime Minister to take the leaders of opposition in both the Houses of Parliament and other political leaders into confidence on the serious charges levelled against the government of India by the USA and Canada. Allegations made by Canada are tarnishing India's global reputation and damaging brand India. Pallavi continues to stay on with us on the broadcast. Pallavi, we heard from Charanjit Singh Channi. He is asking to sit down and have a talk with Canada, but at the same time, Jairam Ramesh is saying that, take all the members of the opposition also into confidence. And let's talk about how India's brand is being damaged internationally.
Yes, absolutely.
Back on this edition of The Right Stand with news closer home. The opposition divided over Bharat and Canada tug of war and this entire tussle. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh making a statement on X to say allegations made by Canada, now backed by several other countries, are threatening to escalate, tarnishing India's global reputation and damaging brand India. Our nation's international image as a country that believes and adheres to the rule of law is at risk, and it is critical and crucial that we act together to defend it. Former Punjab CM and Jalandhar MP Charanjit Singh Channi also pitched strongly for improving Bharat-Canada ties. The Canadian PM has been lying blatantly, but why is the onus on Bharat to prove the ties is the question that we ask. Meanwhile, Manish Tiwari, while speaking with CNN News 18, said that when the Kanishk bombing took place, the Canadian government then should have done something about it, but the way Trudeau has handled it and made allegations is inexplicable. With Canada's recent allegations against Bharat, it is no longer a diplomatic row, and rescuing bilateral ties will be a long and difficult process. Meanwhile, later in the evening, Pawan Khera of the Congress party said that we will stand by Bharat. The government and the opposition will speak in one voice when it comes to Bharat, but we would like the government to brief the leaders of the opposition in both the houses on the situation so that we present a unified stand. Zafar Islam, national spokesperson of the BJP with us, Kamru Chaudhary, political analyst with us, Sushant Sareen, senior fellow ORF with us. Namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you for your patience, gentlemen. Zafar Islam, will the government onboard the opposition and all other political parties and brief them on the situation? Because this is clearly the deepest wedge in ties between two nations, Bharat and Canada. In fact, their diplomatic presence on Indian soil is lesser than the Pakistanis.
Well, Anand, we just need to dig the history. If you do a back testing, you will realize that we have always briefed the opposition. But it's very unfortunate some of the opposition leaders are targeting our own government instead of standing by the government. At least some sense has prevailed in the minds of Congress party, and finally they have come up and saying that we will stand by Bharat. Away from that, most of the leaders are actually not with the government, but they are sympathizing with likes of Trudeau and other political leaders of Canada. Everyone knows the kind of statement which has been made by Justin Trudeau is totally unacceptable. As a Prime Minister, he is blatantly telling lies to the world. He has absolutely no proof of the statement he is making. There has to be some proof for him to back up his own statement. And 26 times Government of India has, through its mission in Canada, asked for certain proof. None of the time they have responded to Government of India. because they are blatantly lying, and Justin Trudeau as a Prime Minister is behaved extremely irresponsibly, and the kind of statement he has made is totally unacceptable, and the kind of the statement they have made against our diplomats is totally unacceptable. Government of India has taken a stand, and the whole of country should stand by the Government of India, and even opposition leaders, if they are making a statement, they must realize that it is the government, it is the country which comes first, not their political interests, which Justin Trudeau is actually trying to serve his own political interests. But you should not serve your political interests, stand by the Government of India, stand by your own country. This is what we are expecting, and as far as the briefing is concerned, we have always done, we will always do it, because why there is a hesitation? If there is something which is related to the country, the leader of opposition, why only leader of opposition? The whole of political parties who are representing the parliament must be briefed, and we have no inhibition in briefing the opposition leaders. Or
so the opposition will be briefed, but Kamru Chaudhary, हिंदी में कहावत है, सुबह का भूला अगर शाम को घर लौटा है तो उसे भूला नहीं कहते. तो क्या सुबह कुछ नेता ये भूल गए थे that these are the same lot who assassinated Prime Minister Indira Gandhi? Trudeau and is the same one who shared a platform with those who took out tableaus trying to parade and celebrate the assassination of Mrs. Gandhi and pushing this entire narrative of breaking Bharat. By evening they figured out and then they course corrected.
No, Anand, I must congratulate our government in Delhi for giving a very measured response to Canada with regards to this dispute that is ongoing out here. But having said that, we all must understand there are already precedents wherein Indira Gandhi and Vajpayee ji, they worked together for the common good of the country with regards to the foreign policy relations. It was the first person that she consulted was Vajpayee ji with regards to a foreign policy dispute. But having said that, Anand, there must be some accountability of all that has been happening over the last few weeks. Are we ready for this masculine nationalism that we are seeing from both the sides? Are the people who we have seen the diplomatic fallout between the two. We are going to watch about the economic consequences that are going to be there, the impact on the diaspora, or the geopolitical repercussions between the two countries, or the hindrance to strategic interest that is there with India and Canada. Canada being a part of a global, like the G7, G20, or its close ties with the United States. Are we ready for such a diplomatic fallout? That needs to be answered. And the opposition is very right in asking for an all-party meeting.
Why should we ask this question, are we ready? Who initiated it? They have to see whether we don't have a trade bill of more than $8 billion with the Canadians, by memory serves me right. It's not going to hurt us. We'll get that billing from somewhere else. Canada will not be a part of Quad. Canada is the one that thrives on the education and student who are going there, Canadian tourism, etc. And it is largely Indians who are also supplying workforce there. So if India cuts down and starts putting those brakes and barriers, the people who will sweat are the Canadians or the Canadian government. And our issue is not, and I think that Randir Jaiswal earlier in the evening also said, Sushant Sareen, that our issue is not with Canada and Canadians. Our issue is with this disposition and certain a segment or a fringe element within Canada which is being propped up by the current Prime Minister.
Yeah, that is true. But look, it's also true that what this man Trudeau has done, and I think the Congress party is on point there. I don't agree with everything that they've asked for, because I think there's an element of disingenuity in the way they've put up the demand. But I do agree with them that brand India has been severely damaged, whether we like it or not. And I think the Congress party, perhaps unwittingly, has given an opening to the government. Now, if the government wants to be bullheaded about it, it's up to it. But I think this is a golden opportunity. You don't need to have a debate on this. But the government should come up with a very comprehensive, very well formulated, a very hard-hitting statement which lays out how India looks at the situation, which also lays out what the roadmap is going to be. Because look, Anand, let's face it, if you, and the general approach in the government right now is that, look, we don't need to do anything, we'll only react to anything that the Canadians do. I personally think that's a mug's game, simply because the narrative is then fixed by somebody else. And in the international media, what happens is that the narrative is then carried out by those guys, not by us. I think it's about time that we take the initiative in our own hands. We come out with our bat swinging. We come out with a statement in which we lay out what the Canadians have done. It's one thing for the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson to say what he said. And I have certain problems with even the language and the idiom which is being used, because frankly speaking, it will not go down the throat of the people we are trying to address. What we need to do is formulate a proper language, formulate a proper response, say it in Parliament, because a statement made in Parliament in front of all of India's political leadership is a far more weightier statement than a spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs making a statement.
Right.
So I would counsel the government, give a comprehensive statement and tell everybody, including the Canadians, including the Americans, and certainly the British, who will always try and do some kind of mischief in this whole thing, where people get off, how India's national security and integrity, it cannot be compromised. And this will also be a very good opportunity to give an answer to people like Channi and others who will be more interested in batting for Canada than for batting for India. How do I care about the Indian diaspora? I don't give a damn about the Indian diaspora. I care about the people who are living in India, who have that skin in the game in India. Not people who have left India and who are truck drivers and whatever else, toilet cleaners or plumbers in Canada. I don't care for them. I care about people who are living in India. I care about their well-being. I care about their safety. And if Mr. Channi is so bothered about Canada, he can go to Canada. There's a fat lot of good he is doing out here. But to say that because some people have migrated to Canada, we should kowtow to Canada, we should give in to everything that the Canadian said, that what the Canadian boss has said is, Masta, you are right, kind of an attitude. I'm sorry, I don't buy it anymore.
Right.
We are not their slaves. We are not ruling over us. And I think answer them back.
True. Zafar Islam? Sushant Sareen says, make a proper formal statement. Call a special session of Parliament or get all your leaders together and do it. That's what's going to send the right message. Get the wording, language right.
Well, see, Sushantji has made a statement, and I am receptive to his ideas. Our government is always receptive to ideas coming from citizens who always feel what is good for the country. So I am not making anything statement against what Sushant Sareenji has said. But having said that, let me make it very, very clear to you, Anand, and all the people who are watching this news, that we have always, as a matter of policy, brought all such situation in front of the fellow parliamentarian all the time, so that they should know. All the political parties have been briefed every time, so that they should know that the statement has come from regarding China, regarding UK, regarding many other issues. Whenever it is required, whenever it is warranted, the current government has always made a statement by the concerned minister in the parliament of both the houses. Then we will do it. Why when there is an inhibition? There is no inhibition. But if somebody is making a statement against our own country, see, you can hate this government, but you cannot make a statement where you are seen that you are compromising with the national interest. That is something which everybody should be sensitive
I think all parties have figured it out. Trinamool Congress very clearly calling out Trudeau's hypocrisy. There are other parties who have not supported Trudeau's position and the way they have behaved, they have conducted themselves. Gentlemen, I have to interrupt this conversation because there's big news coming in from Israel. Sushantji, please stay on. I just got 90 seconds, beg your pardon, to share this with our viewers before we make way for brass tacks. It's official, the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, has been eliminated in Gaza. Now, the Israelis were confirming they believed that the building where Yahya Sinwar was reportedly present was booby-trapped. There were people seen laced with grenades. That building has been bombed. Where he was staying was booby-trapped. A vest full of grenades was found on the body. There is an anonymous official who's told a top Israeli news channel that Yahya Sinwar has been killed. Now, we have Hanania Naftali, one of the top Israeli broadcast journalists, who's actually put this out on X. And he's followed that with more information that the Shin Bet and the top leaders are currently confirming this. They are actually assessing the situation, and they have said that that they are actually trying to get the picture. Sushant Sareen with us. They're trying to get the picture. Top 3 Hamas leaders, all gone now.
Yeah, I think they've pretty much wiped out the entire top leadership of Hamas. They've wiped out or severely damaged the Hamas infrastructure, their fighting capabilities. I don't know if this is going to be enough to stop the war in Gaza, or they plan to carry it forward. I think the Israeli objective is that they want to eliminate Hamas. By and large, they've almost done it. But are they going to go up until the last Hamas guy is alive? Then that is a never-ending conflict. Perhaps this will give some kind of an opening for the war to at least start winding down, if not end immediately. Perhaps that could happen, because Sinwar was, look, it's good riddance to bad rubbish. I don't think at least anybody out here is going to weep over this guy.
Right. We are waiting for the Israeli media to actually, and the IDF to release the official pictures and an official confirmation. But this is Israeli media reporting that Yahya Sinwar has confirmed eliminated. With that, it's a wrap of this edition of The Right Stand. Brass Tacks with Zakir Jacob right now.
Good evening, welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau yesterday testifying before the Foreign Election Interference Commission made a stunning admission. He said at the time referenced to September of 2023 when he stood up in the Canadian Parliament and for the very first time made those stunning allegations of Indian agents being behind the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani separatist and a terrorist. Yesterday, he qualified what he said back in September of 2023 by saying that at that time, there was no hard evidentiary proof. It was just intel or intelligence. But at the time, the exact phrase that was used by Mr.